Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
And we are looking at the news for the day, and there's a red folder here at 2 o'clock, FOMC meeting, so be aware. The morning looks like it's pretty clean for this morning, and nothing real major. Looks like there may be a little bit something at 8:30, but with a CAD in the US dollar, but nothing overly exciting for that. So that's today, and tomorrow looks like there's another red folder about 12 o'clock in the afternoon with the US and Fed Chairman Powell speaks. So that's enough for the news. We're going to look at our heat map and see what our strong pairs are for the day. And it looks like the euro is relatively strong on the higher time frames. It pulled back a little bit on the 5-minute. The Aussie seems to be relatively weak, and it's in the bottom third. So we'd be looking at trading the weakness of the looks like New Zealand, yen, and dollar are the weaker ones. The Aussie's kind of in there, and be trading to the strength of the euro and British pound, it looks like. So we'll keep that in mind when trade alerts come through, and we'll check that to see what's strong at the time. And one thing we've been doing a little bit more of is going for a smaller stop, smaller target ranges, higher lot size. It's giving us a little bit more trades to work with. The trading range has been relatively tight here these last few weeks. And by the time we get the alert, it's in a very tight range. We're looking in a range of usually that less than that 20 pip target that we often look for. And so it just makes it a little bit more difficult. But if we can tighten our stop and have a smaller target, we may have some trades, and the results would be the same. You just take a larger lot size. So we're going to be looking at some of that type of technique a little bit today. I started doing it a little bit. We started exposing you a little bit to it last week, and we'll just see how that goes. I see there's a NASDAQ trade. Let's take a look at that one. NASDAQ 100. And we have a down arrow. Looks like it's, let's see what kind of I think NASDAQ is starting to switch directions a little bit. It's kind of flattened out. We have a very tight range up here, but you can see it's right up here where it's getting a rather support area. It's basically not going sideways. If it can break through this green zone, it's probably going to be coming. You're probably looking at a nice zone down here, a little bit lower. So right now I'd say it is in an uptrend, but it's sort of basing sideways. So either way could almost go pretty easily. And so we have a down arrow into a zone. Again, we don't have any real clear direction with this, so we're going to pass on this trade. And let's see what kind of range we have here. We have from the whole zone between the red and the green zone is, see, 603 to, and it's about a $40 zone, about $30 zone. So if we can get it in the bottom third or the upper third, we may have something to go with. This could almost be like a bank induction. We are in somewhat of a downtrend, or what did we say it was going to be? It was still a little bit of an uptrend for the most part. But if this could very well, if it can break through this green zone, then we might be looking at a change in direction here a little bit. But right now, no trade on that one. Aussie US.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Matt.
Aussie US, pretty much the same story with the Aussie USD. We are in an uptrend, more green than red, and we have a zone here. And let's see where our money zone was. This is yesterday's money zone. Let's take a look at uptrend, down arrow. It hasn't, there is a little bit of room to the downside, but it's in the wrong direction. We do have the crossover of the moving averages, so that tells us this could be a nice little pullback too. I'm looking at this right now where we have a zone, comes back down, a retracement, and it could come back down further to retest it. So this is a possibility. Let's widen this out a little bit and see what we have here. I get a little bit leery about trading the indexes, but they are, here's where the top of the move was. Here's the bottom of the move. And you can see right now it's retracing at the 38%, coming up into the moving averages. The moving averages have crossed over, and we have a down arrow. The arrow would bring us into a trade. Here's the arrow. Here's the close of the, right about that area. Now this may have already been, this could be one of those moves where it comes back down, retraces, then comes back down and hits the target area before it bounces back up. This could be very well be a Fibonacci. I like to see it get a little bit deeper into these moving averages and then get rejected off of that with a nice little pivot, fractal or a pivot high or some sort of a change of directional type of formation here. Let's take a look at a 5-minute chart on this one. We do have the up arrow. So this would be no, we had the bounce. There's an arrow. Now the question would be would we want to take a 5-minute going up to this range with these moving averages? I'm not quite sure I would want to do that. Right now, we're getting some mixed messages. On the 5-minute, we have to bounce the arrow, and we could have the go as this thing pulls back up. I'm still looking at this being perhaps more of a down move, being this is the 5-minute retracement as opposed to being a change in direction. See how much room we have till we get to the moving averages here. It looks like about $12. Normally with the indexes, we'd be looking at a $5 target, $10 stop. Dollar is still relatively weak. What do you think, Matt?
Well, on AUD USD, I don't have appetite to take it long.
Looks like it made it's forming its low on the money zone.
Yeah. Sorry, did you pull that back on the on what time? Did we have a downtrend here? I might have missed that. I was setting up my charts.
It was an up. There's an up. It was on a 15-minute. We had a down arrow on the 15-minute.
Yeah.
Into but it was an uptrend. So right now it is
okay.
Right now it is going with the trend, but we have all these crossovers of these moving averages. The target would have to be the target would have to be the 62% retracement, but you also it could stall here at the 50. But that's I mean you still could get 70,
10,
74. You still might be able to get 5 pips out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if I do it for.
It would be a real quick. I don't know. I'm not overly. The dollar is weak, which would help make the dollar's Aussie dollar. Let's see, the Aussie is weak to the dollar, so that would favor the short on this one.
Let's check this out.
The dollar's getting stronger on the higher time frames, and the Aussie's getting stronger on the lower time frames. So we got a little bit of a mixed message there. Let me get this.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I'm curious to see if it's going to break. If it breaks that moving average to the upside, it's got some steam to the upside. But if it could actually go to the moving average, turn around.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more in line. I'm more inclined to look at this as being here's almost our low, our W. Now we're on a 5-minute chart, so keep that in mind that we have to be, if we can get a break of this pivot right here, I think this is going to be a little bit of a testing zone, right where it is, right between this 38 and 50% retracement. I said everything's still this moving average is still pointing down. This one's just barely curling over. I would expect to see it come on up, come back, retest this area down below. I'd be still more apt to wait for this to pull back and then maybe take a short on this, even though that would be contra trend.
Yeah, it's not clear enough for me right now.
No, it's too iffy right now.
It's
So
there's
here's a low, here's a low, here's your anchor, here's your first hit. It comes back down and retest, which would be pretty much retesting the lower 25% of this move. At least you get up a little bit higher, come back down and retest the trend line. So I'm just going to let this thing breathe a little bit and see. I still like, I would be more apt to take it short up here and come back here for the test of the retread of the trend. And that could give us a little bit of that would be able to give us about $14, $15 worth of movement, going for $5. And that's what and this could be a good long. You may be able to work it both ways on this pullback and then come a retest. I wouldn't go for if you take this trade, I wouldn't go for a whole lot on it right now. I'm just going to let it breathe here.
Yeah, I'm just
And
checking a couple of things.
We'll take a look at, here's the Euro Swiss. Swiss is relatively strong. The Euro is kind of fighting it for first place, Euro Swiss. And I said, we don't have to take every trade. We want to take as many as we can, but we also want to be careful with, we don't want to be we don't want to be gambling. We want to have a higher probability. We want to weigh the odds in our favor. And if it's too iffy, just stay out of it. There's another train coming down the track. Now this one's coming right up into the zone. No trade on that one. Aussie US. There was one earlier for the Aussie US. This one, this one sort of mimics the S&P a little bit. It had a bounce arrow. Aussie is Aussie's getting stronger in the lower time frames. US is still undecided. And we have, this would be, if we do take this trade, we'd have to use it. I'd have to use this for a target. How much room do we have there? That's 7 pips. I like at least 15 pips to a target. I'll pass on this one. Like I said, these things are tight in very tight ranges, and you have to pretty much catch it pretty much. That's on a 5-minute too. That's one reason why. Let me double check my charts to make sure I'm on 15 minutes for the most part. This one, a 15-minute. The S&P I can keep on a 5. Aussie US goes 15. All my time frames I like to start with the 15-minute, and then we work our way from there. I kind of like that Euro Swiss one, really quick, but a little bit late on the game. Now Euro Swiss here, no, that's too tight. It's too tight in the zone.
Yeah, it's coiling. It's kind of, you see the wedge, eh?
Yep.
Might get a nice break of that though.
No, I think we have too many zones. I mean, we have too much resistance up top there. Yeah. We have not enough to make that work.
Not right now. But I do like it to the counter trend side, but that's
arrow down. Here's a down trend. Here's the zone. Pretty strong move down. These are, I'm looking at this to be more of a pullback to the downtrend. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. That may give us a little something later on. Let's take a look at that NASDAQ again. That one has me a little bit, spurred my interest on that one a little bit.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of things with the indices over the last couple of days. Yesterday was a great day for the indices.
This is in a downtrend. So according on this chart, it's in a downtrend. Oh, there we go. Actually, indices we use on the 5 minute. We'll put that back on the 5 minute.
Yeah.
Downtrend pullback. I do like this as a pullback.
Yeah, I do like it as a pullback as well. Now, if it comes down and it bounces off the zone and then you take the arrow, that's pretty good.
Actually,
but,
we have this. We have a bounce. We have 2 down arrows.
Yeah.
I like this right now where this first arrow came in and it pulled back a little bit. And this is where the momentum was. It came right up into this area right here where this arrow generated the alert and came right back up and just above that area. We have a nice little trend there, and we have a double bottom here.
Yes.
And we're
yes,
still
we
showing
do.
dollar weakness. Dollar weakness, and if a dollar weakness, and I see market strength, but I like the fact that our moving averages crossed. I have a nice little wick here. This could be a fractal. And our direction is
officially up.
One tiny little, yeah, officially it's up, but it's basing. It's been basing here for a couple of days, all day yesterday, and today it's been basing going sideways. I prefer to see it be a breakthrough here and then look on that for a target. Right now, for the green area for a target, it's just, you could get a few pips out of it, but you're kind of, it's a little bit of a gamble.
It's too, it seems a little too tight, right? Like we don't want to be taking indices before the market opens. Generally, right?
That's another factor too.
Because there's not enough volume. We're just sitting in traffic, more or less.
86. Let's see where the target on this is.
If I get an up arrow, though, if that bounces off the green zone and I get an up arrow, that's the trade right there. Even if the moving averages are there, I'm not worried about that.
So this came up. We have a $20 move between 86 and 867. I like the fact it came right on up here into that area, and they still have room to the downside. Here's a could retest this area. We have a double bottom right in here. How far is this to this? I would not go more than this target right in this area.
Yeah.
Here's where the wicks are. Here's where it turned around, came back down, popped back out, came back down, popped back out.
What's that? Is that $5 to the green?
Right now it's from this blue line, it's 86 to 72.
Yeah, 6 or whatever. 8. I can't count. It's too early.
Let's see. We have a low here. Nice little trend line. So we had a bounce over here. We had a hit.
Bingo. Look at that. That's pretty stinking good.
That's a pretty good little trend line there. We have a little bit of a violation of here, but I can allow a violation of just wicks.
Yeah.
Try not to go cut through any bodies of the candles, but here's a nice pivot. Came down, rejected. It came down. It didn't go below this low. So we have a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. We can get a bounce off of this. We may have a little something there.
Right. I don't mind having a violation like that either, Al. That's not a big deal right there in the grand scheme of things, because you already have those 4 other really nice hits. Having one violation is not a big deal. If you have a violation and you only have 2 hits, maybe you're pushing it.
Yeah. This is a valid trend line. Came back, tested it, came back up, rejected, came back, tested it, rejected. It is making some lower highs, but it's starting to get, it's just getting tighter and tighter. It's getting harder and harder to get your profits out of it until it's going to break through one of these things.
Yep.
We have this trend line right here, and we have another trend, which is a little steeper trend, which makes me think it's just kind of coiling up. And once it bounces off of this, it's going to come up and then maybe break through and go retest the upper area. It still has, I mean, this, they said it's been going sideways for quite a while. So we'll just have to, but when you start seeing it, the wedge getting tighter and tighter at the end, then you just, I mean,
Just sit on it for a bit, right? Like it's going to break.
Yeah, as it, when it's wider back here, you can say, okay, I'm going to try and I'll take it short here. I'll take it long down here. But when you start getting after that first or second violation of, or test of the trend lines, you may just, unless you have lots of room. I mean, right now we have some room to the upside. It'd be right about here. To the downside, we have pretty much right where we are right now, right about in this area. So if you look and measure that, you got 13,600. Basically, you're looking at a $30 move, and you're right in the middle of it. So you could, right now you're coming in right into the bottom third of this whole range here.
Casper, what do you say in gold buy? What time frame you talking about? Was that the alert that showed up, or are we?
There was no alert.
No, okay. It's still coiled pretty tight, man. So
Yeah.
I don't see definitive direction yet. I've got a wedge that I drew from the swing high, and then so I've got a strong trend line to the downside. Before I take a buy on this one, I'm gonna want to see it break that upper trend line that I drew. It actually looks very similar to NAS right now. Very, very similar.
Right now you can see, well, here's the low, here's a higher low, here's a higher low, here's a trap. Here's where the trap could be.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see if we had taken the long off of this, well, we had this bounce, but it didn't come all the way down into the zone. That's why I hesitated taking a long, especially with moving averages crossed over. Came right up to those moving averages, came right up to where this first arrow came in. You're looking at the second arrow off of a down move, and this would have been the one to be taken off of when it came back down. But you still would have had to have a pretty decent stop up to the top of this wedge here. But we'll see what happens in this case. Like I said, I did like it a little bit better to the short side, even though it is in a uptrend, I believe we said.
Actually, Al.
Yes.
It's been made by Claudio. Can you check the S&P? Is there a wedge also on the 5 minute for it?
Probably.
Yeah, there is. All the indices and gold are all in the same formation right now.
Yeah. And they're making new highs, but I'm still wary about, very cautious about taking these things. I mean, they still keep on making new highs, and you keep wondering how high is it going to go. But there is a major correction in our future. I just don't know when. It may be today. It may be 2 months from now. But that's why the fact that it's making new highs and there's no reason for it to go higher other than the fact that they're pumping money in to keep it up. Eventually, the money's going to dry up and it's going to make a correction, and it's going to make a lot of people real nervous. So my goal about that is just stay out of it.
I also have a request from Judson. Can you give your thoughts on the pound US on the 5 minute?
Pound US 5 minute. Pound US 5 minutes. There's a 15 minute. Let's see where it is. Let's see what kind of direction we have here. We're in an uptrend. Up arrow. Let's go to 5 minute. And we have a zone here. An uptrend. This would be a target area. 5 minute, what's he got on the 5 minute? We have a pullback on it. So this is didn't hit the zone here. We had this move up, but it didn't quite get into the zone. Needed to go a little bit deeper than that. We are in an uptrend. And I would be looking at a possible Fibonacci. Here's the move in the uptrend. Here's the pullback. Look for it to see how far it'll pull back. I'd be looking at this as a Fibonacci move. Bring it on up to here. Right now it came into the 38% area, which is, I like to see at least the 38%. I will take them at 20%. If the smaller the pullback, the more likely it is to keep on going. I do like, we have a little trend we have a trend break in this case right now from the low. Here's the first hit.
Hey, Johnny. Yeah, we didn't see your. Sometimes if you put your questions in the chat, we actually don't see them because we have other screens up and stuff. So if you put your questions in the Q&A section, that way it pops up and it's a lot easier for us to find it. So it's not that we're ignoring your question; it's just that it just wasn't seen. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A.
Yeah, the
just
chat
like Eva said.
The chat is kind of there for you guys to talk amongst yourselves as a group. So we can't monitor that closely because every time someone posts in the chat, it scrolls up and we miss whatever might be there while we're attending to the Q&A and other things. So like Matt says, please put them in the Q&A and they will be answered.
I do like this here. We had a trend. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. Here's the break of the hit. Came back up, retested the trend line. Now we have another upper trend. And now we just got an arrow. I'm going to take this trade. It's counter trend, but I'm still willing to take this one.
Okay.
And we're going to put I'm probably only going to go for, again, I'm looking at, rather than 20 pips, I'm looking at 10. So I'm going to modify this. Going to go with 15 pip stop, 7 pip target. And if it comes back down into this zone, I'll be out of my trade already. Here's my stop up here. I'm going to move it up just a little bit to get a little bit more out of harm's way. I'm going to stop up there. This has a lot of British US, and the US should be weak to the US. The British is weak to the US. And I'll show you what I'm looking at with my other chart. It's a British-US pair, and over here you see the US is strong, British is weak. US is strong, the British is weak. And the US is strong, the British is weaker. It's not quite on the higher time frames, but on the 5 and 10 minute, 15-minute chart, it's looking pretty good. And so that's why I took that trade. We'll see how it works. That tool is very close to being available. We have to clear it through TradingView. Once we can get TradingViews okay with it, we'll be off and running with it. Everything else is ready to go. And then we'll make it available. I'm going to try and meet with Anthony today and see how he's coming with the TradingView side of it. Now, one thing we have to be careful with is that it just came right to the 50% and bounced off of the 50%. If we get a pivot low on this thing, then we may be having to be looking to retest the upper side of this. But nice break, came back, nice retest, nice trend line coming down from the top. A little bit of a breach right here, came back up. Here's the tag. We got to be careful with this one. We got in right at pretty much just a little bit below where the arrow closed was. The main entry on this thing would have been, the alert was right on this. So I'm not going to let it go to my full stop. If it comes back up and probably retest these moving averages, I may let it go for that. But I'm giving it a 15 pip stop, 7 pip target.
That's a nice setup there, Al, because you got a third bounce on your trend line. you know,
Yeah.
your upper trend line there. You've
Oh, yeah.
got,
Yeah, and it was rejected up here.
yeah, see, I like that. And then you're in the same direction as the moving averages.
Yep.
You were, so
I like
there's,
how this moving average came up and it couldn't cross. It couldn't get the cross of the 200. Came up and it was rejected. Came up a little bit. It was rejected some more. You have a little bit lower highs on this moving. If I take this, let's see. If I bring this down, and if you look and see where the arrow moving average is, just where the breaks of this are. I mean, this is a little different way of looking at it, but you see where here's the hit, came back down lower. And this is causing, this moving average is actually having its own little decreasing. If I get this thing drawn right. You see where the moving average itself is making a little bit lower highs.
yep.
So from the average standpoint, it's given up a little bit of its strength to the upside. And we knew how, now we have the break of this little pivot. If we can get this thing to close below this pivot, we should be a little bit, and I say this would probably be, the 62% retracement might be a valid place where you're going to see it turn around. That was the first, that's where the first hit of this trend line came in. And actually, if you look and see where we have anchor, hit, here's a hit, there's a hit, rejected, and a break.
Let's see this here.
You see right now it's making the candles themselves on this 5-minute chart. They're making lower highs, lower lows, lower high. And it should come in here and get me and I would expect this thing to maybe start getting rejected, turning around somewhere in between this 50 and 62% retracement.
What's your target on that? 10 pips?
7 pips.
7.
15
Yeah,
pip
yeah.
stop, 7 pip target.
Yeah, that allows you to increase your lot size significantly.
Yeah, let me show you what I'm looking at with that.
Yeah.
As we're waiting for this thing to move. Here's our chart, and that sheet, it is available now. I will show everybody how to get to it.
Oh, good.
And let's see, where our account size is, I think $4,700, I think is what my account size is.
Yeah.
$4,800 account size. Come over, I'll put 4,800 in here. See if I get the right one here. And I'm on the British US pair. So I'm going to little tag down here, bring it down to the British USD. It's right there. Comes up, gives me the value by 2% risk. I'm risking $98. And for a 15 pip stop, I can take a 0.64 lot size, which is what I have up here in my chart. And I took the trade, and this is the standard value for the British US. So that was my calculations. There's my lot size. If I had a 40 pip stop, I could put 40 pips in here, but you'll see my lot size is going to decrease significantly. And so I go from a 0.64 to a 0.24 because I increased my risk. This is your profit regulator. Your risk is your profit. Your stop is your profit regulator. And so, like I said, the tighter your stop, the larger the lot size. And now, rather than having to get the same profit with a 15 pip stop, I can take double the lot size, and I'm still risking the same amount, but for the 7 pip target, I'm expecting to make half of that. So it'll be $45, $52, or about $48, I guess, somewhere around there.
Oh, that's almost 3 times more money per pip than what you were making earlier.
Yep, and the thing is, and I'm going to be in the trade a lot less. I'm not going to be waiting now 3 hours for this thing to come and get my 20 pips. I mean, it may do it right now. It may do it right in the same, but right now I'm already up five pips. If it comes up, if it gets to 7 pips and starts bouncing out, I'll just close it out with the 5 pips. Anywhere between 5 and 7 pips, I'm happy with this trade.
Right.
There's 6-1.
I like that you took it at the 38 because it continued going down past the 38.
Yeah.
So that's another confirmation as well. You had the bounce on the trend line, The moving averages switched down. You had it broke the 38, which means that it's probably going to go to 50 or 61.8. Because the deeper it goes, like if it breaks 38, if it breaks like a 40% level, it's probably going to continue going down for a little bit. You're up 6 pips, man.
Yep. And we're just going to, there's 6, there's 5. I'm out of there. Boom, done.
Because I'm thinking you're going to get some resistance at the 50%. The 50 is just too strong, right?
The 50 is a major retracement point. 50 and 62. This once it gets anywhere into this area, you can pretty well expect a retracement. If you even look and see with, well, let's see. Let me if you move this moving average. Let's just move it down to even like this one here. Strong move up, came back down. Look where this stopped. It stopped right here at the 50%. Comes back up. Hasn't retraced much, hasn't retraced much, hasn't retraced much. It gets into the zone, comes back 50%. Now, would I take it long here? Not right now, not with this down arrow coming in. It could come down to 60. I'd be waiting to see if this can, I'd be looking for a 5 candle formation where I have a pivot low, just like with this one. Here's a pivot low, here's a higher low on the left side of this pivot, and I have a higher high or a higher low on the right side of the pivot. This is a fractal right here. And you look at a 5 candle formation with a pivot low and then 2 higher highs on either side of it. That's when you know that that's where this price has been confirmed as being rejected. So right now we have a low and we have 2 highs on either side of it. And we'll see if this candle here will come on up, give us a higher high or higher low, and then maybe we can get back in with the off this retracement. But I'm not going to take it right now, even though it's in an uptrend. I'm looking at this thing to pull back, and it could go sideways. It would have to break through this area here before I would be. This would be the next area of interest if I take it. I like this pivot low right here, and I like this body of this candle. Here's where the rejection was. Here's our fractal low. Here's where this price came down. This is where it launched from. This is where it was rejected. You know, and I would expect it to come back into this area to be rejected to retest this pivot on this one. And that's right at the 62, between the 50 and 62. If it comes down here to the 62 and gives us that formation, then we put our stop, and our stop would be down below the 5 pips below the next zone, which would be the 79. So if it comes into the 62 area, our stop is below the 79 minus 5 pips. If it comes into the 50, which is right where it is right now, the zone would, the stop would be not the 50, but it'd be 5 pips below the 62. If we get the turnaround formation up in this area. But I'm looking at this pivot low, the body, to go to the body, the pivot low, and then this is your zone right here between these 2 blue lines. And this is where I would consider this to be somewhat of a demand zone, of a pullback, and then it may come back and retest. And by that time, we may get a reversal pattern to take it long. Remember, the trend is still up. But I like the fact we had a strong move up, came back down. Here's our M. Here's the middle of our M, came back up, couldn't quite. Here's the trend up here. And then it broke the M on this one. And now we're having a series of lower highs. And we have a series of lower lows. It's now starting to trend to the downside. It broke this trend. And now we have another trend here, which is coming in from, here's a low, a lower low, and we'll see if it comes back down, where it may come back down and retest this lower trend line. Now we have a downward sloping channel. And that's what we do in this room, is we get alerts, we take a look at it, and there's a US yen I just see on the 5-minute. So hey, this trade is worked out. I'm already done. It could come all the way down here. I would expect it to maybe bounce off of this trend line here somewhere. Let's take a look at the US yen. Strong move up. Let's see where our trend is. All right, we are in a downtrend. Let me go and remove some of these objects here. Is that all there is?
Well, you had some check marks of horizontal lines.
So these are, I've got lots of blue lines here. Let me take some of these off here. Okay, so we are in a downtrend. We're going to put a down arrow in. This is a US yen. Down arrow. We're on a, no, I'm on a 15-minute chart. Well, this is interesting. We're in a downtrend on the 5-minute, but we're definitely in an uptrend on the 15. So that makes for an interesting scenario.
For sure. It means that one of the time frames is going to give us a real nice trade setup.
that means it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. That's what it means.
Pretty much. But look for a nice arrow on the 5 when you have a scenario like that happen.
And actually just made another little green zone right here on this 15. Let's see what we got here. That just shows you how these things are starting to change direction here a little bit. We don't have this is not a bank induction. So right now on the lower time frame, we're in a downtrend. On the upper time frame, higher time frame, we're in an uptrend. So right now it's kind of, we're fighting between these two zones here. So let's see what our range is on this. From there to here. And that is, let's see if I can see this thing, 109.90 to, this is only a 15 pip range. That's not a lot.
Ooh, Dow just melted. That's crazy.
The Dow did?
Yup.
We're not even on that now.
No, we're not didn't get an alert on that one. That you just happen to see that one, I take it.
Yeah, there's no alert. It just went through a green zone.
So with this one right now with the US yen, where did my chart go? There we go. US yen, the yen is in the middle, the yen is in the middle, the yen is in the middle, the yen is in the middle. Dollar is still stronger. So with the US yen, you'd be looking at it going to the upside, but it doesn't have the spread that I'd like to see. It's just too close. The yen can decide whether it's going to be strong or weak. The dollar can't be, right now is stronger on pretty much all, it's in the upper third of all 4 time frames. So we would be trading right now, I'd be trading to the strength of the dollar, but I would rather be doing it against the British, the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, or New Zealand dollar. I would much rather trade against the bottom 3 rather than the middle 3. And this is one way it really helps keep you out of harm's way and really keeps you out of trouble. So I'm going to pass on this trade. Not enough range, not enough oomph, so to speak. Plus we're pretty much in, if you have a down arrow on one time frame and up arrow in the other time frame, just consider it to be sideways because there's no real clear direction to it. And you mentioned something about let's see, how's our NASDAQ trade doing? How did that work out? How's that playing? Let's take a look at that one. We talked about that one earlier.
Yeah, all the indices are going to follow the big brother there,
Yeah,
US 30.
This is one reason here you can see where
Oh, look at that break.
It's breaking this, but it's coming right. This could be a trap. This could be a trap. What time is it now? It's 8. It's coming up on 8:30. This could very well be the trap because remember, it's still making higher lows. Now it did break this low right here, but here's the trap area. Right in between. If you look at this blue line coming over here, I've got set to this pivot. And actually, I'm going to move this one down here too. I'm going to take this bottom two. This is where these two blue lines are. If it can come down here, I would expect. Now, if we get a down arrow into this zone, that could be that bank induction type of trade that we'd be oftentimes be looking at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if we get an arrow right into the zone, and we'd be looking for it to come back out of the zone and maybe take it to the upside. NASDAQ dollar is strong. Yeah, the dollars actually would be favoring it's into the upside, or to the actually to the downside. If the dollar is strong, usually the indices tend to be a little bit weaker.
It's like an inverse correlation, right?
An inverse correlation, yeah.
Something like that.
And you can think of it any way you want to, but that just always seems to work out. And we'll see if we can get a down arrow, and then I'll be looking for let's see, we're on the 5-minute chart here. Let's see where zone is on the 15. Is there any, we're right in the middle of the 15-minute zone. And you can see we can actually take it, here's the low. This is the one we took it, we had like a double bottom right here. This is yesterday's market low, or the money market, the money zone low right here. This is yesterday. Today is up here. So right now it's in the range between yesterday's money zone low and today's money zone low. And we're coming right up into this moving average, which is right inside that area between these two. You see the moving average still pointing up. I could see it come down and get a bounce off of that, and you could probably go for 5 pips or so. But if you look all the way over here to the left, this is a strong move up, came back down, retested it, came back up, made a new high, came back, made a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. It's probably going to find some buyers in this green zone right here, bouncing off the 200. If we get a down arrow into this zone, I'd be more apt to take it long off a bounce here, and my stop would be, I could keep a very tight stop. If I'm wrong, I wouldn't be losing a whole lot, but yet we have a lot to the upside. I like this. This is actually they made the low. Let's see. Well, here's the money zone right there. This is yesterday's money zone. That was where the low was. It's interesting. The green zone is actually a little bit below where the money zone ended up being. This is where it was generated. And let's see. We are starting to get that break of actually from the overnight session. Here's a day break. Let me get the money zone for today's money zone in here. Get that in there. Here's today's money zone. Here is the overnight high. It actually broke right up and made into this zone. That was kind of a fake out. Now we have the low, which is right about in this area right here off of this candle. If we're getting the break now, this would be a break to the downside. So I'd be more apt to take this in short right now, down into this area. Now, actually, we did take it short. This is the one I think this is the one we took, isn't it? And no, that was British US. We are getting the overnight low being broken right now. But I'm still looking at this being a possible trap. Any questions, any comments, anything somebody would like to look at?
You're good here.
This is a quiet group today. All eyes are on the NASDAQ right now.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Like I said, I'm still looking, I'm seeing I'd like to see an arrow into this zone, but we may not. We'll see if we get it. This one came pretty close. It came in, but couldn't quite make it into the zone and was rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Here's it now, but it does have room to the downside here still. Like I said, any place in between these two blue lines, if we can get a turnaround anywhere in between here. Let's see what's our direction on this. We still have up. There's still an up arrow in that area. So this could be a bank induction. Let's see what it does. This one's going to be interesting too. Lots of interesting trades today. And we said we had this, here's a high, here's a low. Now we're seeing, now you can see where the angle has changed. From the third hit, now it's got 3 hits to the, here's the anchor, here's the first hit. Oh, actually, here's the anchor, here's the first hit, here's the third hit, or the anchor, first hit, there's rejection. And then now it's making even, the angles changed. Now we're looking at a fractal right in here. Here's a pivot low, here's a higher low, here's a higher low. We'll see what this candle does. So this one makes a more of a low, then that would be the new fractal. That'll be the first half of the fractal. But right now we have 2 higher highs on the side, and we'll see what this candle right here does. If this candle closes lower, then now we're looking at this candle 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5 on the other side. We'll see what this one does. Right now, this is my third candle. First one, second one, third one, pivot low. And we'll see if this thing can make a new low. If it can't make a new low off of this wick, and especially if we get a break above this, the top of this candle, if we can get a close above that candle, then we may have that reversal area. And we'll just watch it and see what it does. See if it gives us an opportunity to get in.
Right on. Philip wants to know if there's he wants an analysis on multiple time frames for NZD CAD. Just give us an idea of what you're probably already in a trade? Is that what? And you're trying to see if it's a good idea to get out?
NZD CAD.
I need a little bit more guidance there. For example, are you talking about daily?
Yeah, what time frames are we looking at on that?
I don't know.
NZD CAD. I'll pull it up here and see what we're looking at. I'll see if we can figure out what he's referring to here.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm seeing a bouncing off of a October 20 low. Pretty well, it's coming to retest an October low. Let's see. While we're watching this other one, I'll draw this one out and see what.
Yeah, he's talking about the 4 hour and everything.
The 4 hour. Yeah, I don't usually trade on that, but we can take a look at it.
Yeah, just to see.
It's bouncing off of a trend line right now on the daily trend line.
He also mentioned the 15 and the 1 hour.
Okay. Well, let's see what we got here. Keep an eye on this trade while I'm doing this. I'm going to draw this one out on my trading view.
Yeah, it'll be easier there. More efficient.
I'm going to say it looks like it wants to go to the upside, which means the CAD is weak right now. NZD is strong. I would say we're looking at for a lower time frame, we're looking at an upside. Yeah. All right, here we go. I'll bring this one over.
Go
NZD
check
CAD.
KiwiCAD. Oh, I don't see your screen, Al, with the
Yeah,
KiwiCAD.
Oh,
Oh, you're moving it?
Yeah, I'm moving it over here.
Ah,
Here's the NZD CAD. 15
yeah,
minute
she's on
chart.
the up run,
15,
man.
5 and 1 minute. And we have a let's see. This is our the heat map. We have the same thing as the NZD is the yellow one, the CAD's the orange one. We have a 3-point spread, 3-point spread. We have a good spread here. It is wanting to go to the upside. We are getting the crossover. If I look at a daily chart on this, we have from a daily standpoint, here's the August low of last year, October low. Here's my trend line, came down, bounced off the trend line, is bouncing off of that. So it found some buyers into this area. This was sort of like a head fake. It broke the trend line, just barely broke it. Now, if I were to take this on a higher time frame, I probably could tweak this up a little bit.
Looks like Phil bought at the top of the run, and then it retraced on him. But it's retraced 38.2 of that entire run up, so it's all right. I wouldn't. It bounced at 38.2, and it didn't go any lower than that. So, if I was in your position,
You're talking about this run here?
Yeah, that. Oh, sorry, I'm on the 15 minute. I'm not on the daily.
Let me go to 15 minute here.
Yeah, because I can. You see, it's 38.2 of that run up.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see what you're looking at.
You can see it right there.
For this one here.
Exactly. So you're 38.2 of that run. He probably bought at the top, thinking it was going to continue up.
Yep. Which we oftentimes do, unfortunately.
Which we do. We do.
But you can say this is right. This is a 40%, 38.2% retracement, and it found some. It came here. Here's our 60. It's our 30-minute 62 moving average. Came back down, broke it, head fake, and now it could be probably going on up to. And it's starting. Everything's starting to consolidate right in here, but does have room to the upside.
Yeah.
So I say right now, I would be, if you're in it long and you had this pullback, just hang in there. I think it may come up and retest this area up in here. I'm not sure if we'll do it today or not, but it has nice retracement. This is a nice retracement for it to continue to the upside. I would say with this pullback, I would be looking at a break, come up, retest this, and if it came back down from, then I'd be looking at this area as a target. With just this type of retracement, I would say this is going to be the target up in here. So I'd be drawing my target up in probably somewhere between the 1-to-1 and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll draw this and then I move this one down to about halfway, and then this would be my target zone. And that would be target there. And that's about where I would be looking at this thing. If this thing can come up and retest this, it's probably going to break to the upside. And then if you look at over to the left.
So the other side to this coin there, Al, and this is the way I try to keep my head clean, is if I get into a trade that ends up being not what I expected, as soon as I have the opportunity to exit at break even, I'll exit. Because if I messed up my trade and I can end up at break even, then hey, I'm not going to try to get pips on a trade that wasn't optimal, right?
Yeah. Also, here's where my target is. If you look all the way over here to the left, you got to come all the way over here till March of last year. Here's this little drop. Here's a little drop.
That's March of this year.
March of this year?
This year.
Oh, March of this year. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
So yeah, right. So if I look at this little drop, now I'm on a 1 hour chart. So if I look at, here's this little zone right here. If I draw this one out, let's say this little drop, here's a little green candle on this 1 hour. Here's the zone. And if you look over here to the left, you'll see this right about where my target is, right? You may bring it down here just a little bit more. That would be the target. If it can break to the top, this is the next target up there. And how's our trade here doing? That's all I can say about the New Zealand CAD. So if you're short and you're on a pullback, I'd hang in there a little bit still. British yen we have here. British yen.
After this one out, we have another question in the Q&A from Justin Warren.
Okay. Let me take a quick look at this one. Here we in, let's see where we are in down arrow. We are in an uptrend. So bring our arrows over here.
Hey, Al, I'm gonna go get ready for the other
Oh,
session, eh?
Are you hosting that today?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one today.
Okay,
I've
all right,
kind of gotten my bearings.
all right.
So with the job and everything, I've got a little bit more leeway, so now I can kind of
Good.
take care of that at the same time.
Okay, all right. Oh, perhaps we'll see you over there.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, thanks for the great session this morning. Great job on that trade, by the way. That was awesome. Good stuff.
Matt. Thanks, Matt.
And we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. We are in we have a down arrow. See, we are British yen sell in an uptrend. We are in the retracement or the contra trend zone between 8 and 10 o'clock. So we're in that area right now. We have a down arrow. Let's see, where's our British US? Let's see where we're at with that. Come over here. See where we are with the British US. The British is in the middle. British is in the middle. US is a little bit stronger. Not a real strong spread on this. US is stronger. British is weaker. US stronger. But on the lower time frames, the US is stronger. With a British US, we want the strength to the US, which would be the strength to the downside. I think we could probably take this trade. It's contra trend, but I think we could probably take it. I wouldn't go for more than a few pips on it. I'm going to go try it. I think I'm going to do this one. Take that one. And I'm going to modify it. 15-minute, 7 pips stop. Boom, there we are. See if it can make my target. Like I said, I'm only going for 7 pips on this thing. It does have room to the downside. We have the arrow. The strength is to the side of the British yen. British. I was looking at the wrong one. Well, the yen's still strong too, so that's okay. We're still good. And we'll see if it comes up and hits our target. Again, I'm taking a larger lot size with a tighter stop. Put this on a 5-minute chart. See where we're at. If it can break through here, it could possibly come all the way down to this could be the target on this. I would be looking at maybe a bounce off of here. And we'll see if it can come back down and break through this zone. All right, we have the moving averages pointing down. We have momentum to the downside. And I'd like to actually keep my stop a little bit higher. Just give it a little, I'd rather keep it up here, but that's going to be a visual. This would be my hard stop. My visual stops can be the moving average.
Excuse me, Al.
Yes.
Where's your 200 on this chart?
I may not have my 200 on this chart. That's a good question. Let me see. Maybe it's good question.
Okay.
See, I may not even have it on here. Let me see my index. Yeah, I don't have it on this one. Let me load my template. Load.
Okay, I was just wondering. I was like, maybe it's in my moving averages. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, it should be. I think I just there it is. There's right up in there. I like my stop a little bit. I like it up here by the. I've got this as a barrier. I've got this as a barrier. Now, if it comes back up and as this thing comes down, as this thing marches across, it should keep on working its way down. Hopefully, hit my target. But if not, as this thing's pointing down, if this price comes on up and closes above here, I'm going to be out of this trade. I'm just keeping my stop out of harm's way. I want to get out of the stop. I want to get out of the trade. I don't want it to just take me out of the trade. But I know in the back of my mind that I want 15 pips is about all it's going to get. But right now the candles are making here's a low, here's a lower high, lower low. Right now it's trending. We have a candle with a lower high based lower low. This is a nice little accelerated move right in here. And right now I'm up 5 pips right now. See if it can break through that. If it does, it may keep on going. See if it can close. It's fighting this little spot right here. And I don't want it to go back against me too much more. You see, when you're working with only 5 or 7 pips, a lot of times you can be in and out within about 20 minutes is about the average time. If it doesn't work within 20 minutes of when you get in, you may want to rethink about exiting the trade. Because if it's going to work, it's going to work pretty quickly with a 5-minute move or the 5 pip move. You see, I found some buyers coming in right here at the bottom. Found this little area right here, came back down. This could be a little bit of that. This would be where this the fake out it is. Comes back down, breaks, looks like it's going down lower, and now it still has some momentum to the downside. But right now it's made here's a low or a high, a lower high, lower low. Now I can move this thing down. If I get a close above that blue line, I'll probably exit this trade and say that if it closes above that blue line, if it doesn't get me out by this candle, then I'll probably exit the trade myself. But right now it's making a series of lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and now that we have lower lows. And so this thing, the fact that after it gets through this little wick over here where my target is, there's really nothing to stop it till it gets all the way down to here. Here's the next series of wicks. This thing could very well go all the way down here. British yen. And the British pound is weak, and the yen is about in the middle of the pack, but the pound is the weakest currency right now on 3 of the time frames. And we'll see how this one plays out. Nice little push down. There's 5, 6, almost 6. Looking over here for my target. One last little push. Boom, there it is. Trade's done. And that's about all we can say about that one. So now we look for the next one.
Well, you want to look at Josephine's question?
Oh, what? Yeah, what was this question? Okay, let me read it here.
It's a little long. So.
Aussie CAD. Okay, so we're basically looking at the question is about the Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD, Aussie CAD. You see this thing's still going. Yeah. This thing's got lots of room to the downside, and that's a nice. I cut it short, but I'm okay. I just take my profits, get in, get out, and look for the next one. Let's see, Aussie CAD. I'm looking at that here. And let's see, you took it on. So we're looking. The question is that the Aussie CAD took it on a daily from a daily time frame on the 5th of April. Looking for it was a swing trade. So let's take a look at this. So let's look at a higher time. Look at the daily chart. I'm just going to remove all the spread this out a little bit, and we'll mark the 5th when he took the trade, or she. April 5th. That would be a couple days ago. That's where the trade was taken. And did you take it long or short? Let me see. Took a short. Okay, short on a swing trade. Well, let's say if you're looking at from a daily standpoint, we had a trend line. Here's the trend. Pretty steep trend, and it looks like it broke the trend. So my first inclination would be, here's a trend line. I say, look at this. When I draw on the higher time frame trend lines, I'm looking to see where there was the rejection of a point. So you say, here's a pivot high, and you say, this is where the rejection was. Here's a pivot high, here's where the rejection was, came back and retested. So actually, it's a little bit lower. So maybe make it like that. But at the 5th is where this thing was, I can see what he probably did was they took on the retest of the trend, but you also had the pivot low. So here's where you've been looking at here's your pivot low. This was on the 1st. Pivot low, higher low, higher low, higher low, pivot, higher low. So here's your, and this 4 these 4 candle formation. This was your fractal low. This would be your fractal low, and then so this is your box, so to speak. Let's move it over here. So right now you're pretty much looking at, now this could be a trap up here. So I mean, right now here's your box. This is the pivot high. Here's the pivot low. 2 candles on the left, 2 candles on the right. Draw your box. It did break this trend line, so I could see where you. But if you're looking at, we took that bounce. Now let's move to a 15-minute chart. Same box on a lower time frame.
We just had an alert, Al,
Okay.
on CAD.
Okay, we'll get back to this, but I'll keep this on the side here while we check these alerts. We have to take the alerts first here. British CAD.
Yeah.
Well, this was a nice alert. I could have made a lot more money on that one. But we don't care about that because we've already put some money in the bank. British CAD, 15 minutes. British CAD, 15 minutes. We're in an uptrend. That seems to fit. So we're going to mark an up arrow. Come back to our 15-minute chart. Let's scroll out a little bit. We have a trend. Here's the trend that I'd be looking at here from this one. So we're looking at, here's our anchor. Here's our pivot low, pivot, strong rejection. That makes that one, that hit valid. We just had the break. We had the break of this trend line, strong move down, break, came back up, retested. This thing could go short, but unfortunately we're right in the middle of this zone. So I would want to see it. So right now, the first hit of the trend line, I have to see it kind of break through that. So this could be a trap right in here. So be careful with that. This is almost like a bank induction, although this strong move down, this is all one continual move. So I'm looking at it coming into this area. We are in an uptrend. And this is the British CAD. Let me see where the CAD is on this. Come over here to the British CAD. We're looking at who's stronger, the British or the CAD? Well, the British is weak, British is weak, British is weak. CAD's in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. This one could go either way, but right now that's what's driving it into that lower zone. And this could be a nice little bank induction move here. We don't quite have the cross of the arrow moving average. We have a strong move. When you get these strong moves right down into a zone, oftentimes that's where the turnaround is going to be. And we'll see. I want to see a pivot low and a break of this trend line to the upside. And we also have, here's a high. Here's our playground. From here's the high. Nothing hasn't hit that. So we have, now here's a trend line. So I'm going to start with this. This was yesterday's high. Here's the overnight low. Here's our wedge. It broke out of the bottom. And I would be looking at, if it continues, it's going to go probably all the way down to retest this level in here. We'll see what kind of strength we have. It's a contra trend trade right now. We are in an uptrend. We'll see if it's going to, how deep it's going to come into here. Here's our money zone. But there's today's money zone. And it is breaking here's the overnight low before the money zone. That's going to be right about in, I think we already got that. Here's the lowest body of the candle before the money zone, and it hasn't broken through that yet. If it can break through that, it could very well be going lower. If you look at the top of the candles before the zone, this was a break and probably got 20 pips out of that one. Let me see. Yep, I got the 20. You got your 20 pips from the break at the top of it, came back down. Now it's retesting the bottom. It is in an uptrend. I'd be looking at getting a bounce, maybe get a bounce arrow to go back to the upside. But right now we are in the contra trend trading zone between 8 and 10 o'clock. But it's got 3 zones to go through. It's got a lot of pressure. I mean, it may break through part of this, it may come a little bit deeper into it, but we'll see how deep it goes. Right now, this is the low of the day so far. We'll see if it makes new low. But here's the money zone. Here's the low of yesterday's zone. So it's all the way down there. So we'll see what it does. I don't want to take this thing short when it's got a zone right here like this. And that's a 15-minute zone. And as you can see, it's fairly thick. Let's see how thick this thing is. It's 21 pips thick. But we can't take the trade because it's too close to the zone. So that's not a trade. So let me go back to that last question, and we'll see how this thing, we'll come back to this one. Take a look at it again before we go. And we'll go back to the other question we had.
The Aussie CAD?
Aussie
Is that the one you're talking about?
CAD, yep. Yeah, this was he was talking about a swing trade. The shaded area that we're looking at, that's for the playground. It came back up, and he did take it short. So it came up, bounced up through. Now we have a little bit of on the 15-minute chart. This is yesterday's low. It came up and just broke through the top of this. Let me see if we can. Yeah, this is the where he got in on the. Let's see, where's the 5th? He got in short. Yeah, he got in short right around this area. Here's our trend line. So it is a little bit of it is showing a little bit of an uptrend off of this. I'm going to draw the trend line from here to here. Here's the anchor, here's the hit, come back down, see if it's going to retest that. And we have, looks like this thing could go up higher. So here's, I'd be looking at a Fibonacci play right on this one. Here's the strong move up, here's the pullback. Let's see how far it pulls back here. From here to here, come back down. And we're right at a 38% pullback. And do we have a pivot low? Let's take a look at this thing in a little bit. I'm looking at this is going to be the, this could be the middle of the, I think this thing could go up higher still. It's kind of building a wedge. We'll see how far back it goes. Let me draw with a little different Fibonacci because that one may confuse people. Here's our basic Fibonacci. Here's the move up, strong move up, come back down. It right now is bouncing right off the 50% retracement of this up move. If it can get turned around, it's probably going to go up higher. And if it does go up higher, you're looking at a possible, this would be your first target would be the zero line would be right here. And if it comes back 50%, you'd be looking at the target being up around this area to the upside. I usually like splitting it up. That would be the target area. And we'll see how much lower this thing goes. This thing could come back lower. And if you got in on the 5th, so you got in somewhere around in here, we'll just say you caught it just right, the exact peak there. It should be coming right about to where it should be coming back in. Now it could come back down. I would say it's probably going to retrace back into this 50, 60% area, may come in a little bit further. If it breaks through this zone, it's probably going to come back and retest this trend line. So right now you're kind of in no man's land right now. You're in the 50, you have a high, you have a low, and you're right at the 50% of that range. So it could go either go lower, come back and retest, or you could start having a wedge, a little tighter wedge. And that's oftentimes what it will do. I'm gonna put this right around the 50% bounce area. Because this could be your M in a larger time frame. So here's a strong move up, come back down, middle of the M, come back up, retest this line up here. Move this out of the way. Here's a high, here's a low. There's your top of your, so here's your left shoulder of your M, here's the middle of the M, come back up, retest this trend line for the right shoulder of the M, and then it could come back down. Or if this doesn't hold, then it's going to go up higher. Right now, I would expect it's going to bounce off of here, come back up, and maybe retest this trend line. So right now, it's building a wedge from here to here. So this is your playground right in here. If it breaks, find my stick. If it breaks, I'd be looking at a to the upside. Wherever it breaks, it goes to the upside, which would be pretty much right in the target. Or if it breaks to the downside, it breaks. And you're looking at this area down here. And if I drew a line across, we'll see where that might bounce. That'd be over in this area here. Not as quite. I would be looking at this would be probably a bounce of this trend line right here. But anyway, right now it's a 50-50 shot. Which way it's going to go, you don't really know. They say if you got in here and you're back to break even, you may want to think about getting out of it. Not sure where you got in, but yeah, that's the best analysis I have on that one. So with that, we're just about done here, and Matt's over in the other room. He's ready there waiting for you. And looks like this one's still going down, but again, didn't want to take that trade. That's all I have to say. Thanks everybody for being here. It was made a couple good trades here today. Hope it worked out for you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you then.